Ford is slashing prices across their lineup as they've been struggling to move their cars off the lot these days, and their profits just aren't what they used to be. So what do? A company this big must have a plan, right? Well, they started with slashing prices left and right, hoping to drum up some sales. But this is just the beginning, and this move could have some serious consequences that you might not see coming. It'll surely have a domino effect. One thing leads to another, and before you know it, the whole industry's in a world of mystery. Now I know what you're thinking. How could a good deal be a bad thing? Well, these price cuts aren't just about Ford trying to move some metal. There's a whole strategic play at work here. And trust me, if you don't understand what's really going on, you might just end up regretting that shiny new purchase down the road. The strategy behind Ford's price drops. Let me break down what's going on with those price-slashing shenanigans of Ford. It's all about playing a tactical game to reignite some buyer excitement. See, Ford had this bright idea to hike up the prices, thinking it would make their rides more exclusive and refined. But the current market had other plans, consumer interest hit the brakes, and Ford had to pull a quick U-turn. Now here's where things get really juicy. Stroll past any Ford dealership these days and you'll be greeted by a veritable metal city of F-150s and Lightning pickups. Rows upon rows of them just sitting there. What's the deal, you ask? Well, Ford's keeping it pretty tight-lipped, but they claim these trucks are undergoing some intense quality control tests. But shouldn't those rigorous checks happen before these bad boys roll off the production line? I mean, Ford's had a bit of a recall problem in recent years, topping the charts for 3 years straight. It seems like they're trying this whole mass production, then fix it later approach, which is a bit weird. Now I know every manufacturer faces challenges, but how Ford handles this pivotal moment is going to be a real make or break situation for their reputation. Will they regain that reliability and craftsmanship they're known for, or will it all go up in smoke? But one thing is for sure, there is a problem, a huge problem. The quality control dilemma. I've got some burning questions about the latest Ford Bronco fiasco that you're going to want to hear. Seriously, who in their right mind would buy one of these things after the safety nightmare Ford created? Let me break it down for you. These Bronco SUVs have a major problem on their hands, a nasty little gas leak issue that's a recipe for disaster. I mean, when gasoline starts leaking and hits those hot engine parts, you've got a serious fire hazard on your hands. Not exactly the kind of excitement you want in your daily driver, am I right? But instead of doing the smart thing and just replacing those faulty fuel injectors, Ford's come up with this so-called solution, a T-tube to redirect the leaking fuel away from the engine. Sure, it might stop an immediate fire, but it's just masking the problem, not fixing it. We're talking potential slowdowns, stalling on the highway, the whole 9 yards. Not exactly the smooth, reliable ride you'd expect from the Blue Oval. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time Ford's had quality control issues. They've had a real rocky road with manufacturing problems, and the latest Bronco recall isn't exactly doing them any favors in the trust department. Consumers are going to be side-eyeing these trucks harder than ever. So what's the verdict? Do you really want to take a chance on a Ford product that's playing fast and loose with safety and quality? I'm just saying, you might want to keep shopping around before you sign on the dotted line. Your ride deserves better than Ford's half-baked fixes, don't you think? But how exactly does this affect you? You're a consumer or an investor? The bottom line is, these brand perception issues are a big deal, and it's not just Ford facing them either. Take GM for example. Sure, they're raking in the dough with those overpriced trucks and SUVs, but they've had their fair share of bumps in the road too. And let's not forget the EV players like Fisker, Canoo and Workhorse. They've all hit a few potholes along the way, with Fisker even dealing with a whopping 40,000 order cancellations. So if you're in the market for a new set of wheels, or you're eyeing these companies as potential investments, you've got to pay attention to this stuff. These quality control issues, safety recalls, and consumer confidence problems, they can make a serious dent in your driving experience or your portfolio. It's all about that bigger picture. So I've been digging into all the data, but let me tell you, it can get a little confusing when you start crunching those numbers. Because when you look at the big picture, it's not just about the individual companies, it's about the industry as a whole, and trust me, there's a lot to unpack here. Decoding the sales numbers. Ford has been on a serious roll with a 7.1% surge in overall sales for 2023. That's right, their truck sales soared past the million-unit mark, a staggering 13% jump from previous years. It's impressive, right? But here's where things get interesting. Despite this impressive sales growth, Ford's market share actually dipped to 13% by the end of the year. Huh? How does that work? Well, let me break it down for you. See, in the automotive world, market share isn't just about raw sales numbers. It's about how a company's performance stacks up against their competitors. So while Ford was raking it in, some of their rivals must have been making even bigger moves. It's all about that bigger picture, my friends. But here is the best part. Ford's got a secret weapon that's driving those sales through the roof, an old-school dealer incentive program called stair steps. The gist is simple. The more trucks the dealership sells, the fatter the rewards and bonuses they rake in. No wonder those lots are hustling to move those F-150s as fast as they can. With those juicy incentives on the table, the sales momentum is going into overdrive. And when the pressure's on to hit those targets, well, let's just say things can start to get a little slippery. But hey, that's the price you pay for moving metal, right? So what's the takeaway here? Ford's clearly found a way to juice their numbers, but the long-term implications for their brand and reputation, well, that's the real question we'll have to keep an eye on. Is it the right thing to do? Now we need to talk about this whole Ford sales incentive situation and how it's affecting you as the customer. According to the dealers themselves, these lucrative bonus programs have them prioritizing one thing above all else: hitting those sales quotas. And you know what that means, right? Closing the deal becomes the name of the game, even if it means leaving you, the customer, feeling like you've got the short end of the stick. Some of these dealerships are more interested in the size of their commission checks than actually delivering a top-notch purchase experience. Now, I know not every dealership is playing this game, but there are certainly a few bad apples out there. And the critics have a point. These practices raise some serious ethical concerns. I mean, is it really right for them to be valuing their own profits over your satisfaction as a buyer? This whole situation is way more complex than it might seem on the surface, because when you start looking at the bigger picture, you realize that these decisions today are going to have some major ripple effects. And it's not just us, customers, who are going to feel the impact. Ford themselves are going to have to deal with the consequences too. Their reputation, their relationship with loyal buyers, all of it is on the line here. But there is one more thing you need to know about in order to fully understand the situation: the financial fallout. The Blue Oval is losing a staggering $36,000 on every single EV they sell. And get this, in the past year alone, they've taken a $4.7 billion hit chasing their electric dreams. But wait, it gets even crazier. This year's projections show an even steeper decline. We're talking $5.5 billion down the drain. It's like they're just pouring money into this venture and expecting miracles to happen overnight. Talk about a strategy that's coming to bite them back, am I right? But here's the kicker. Despite these massive financial blows, Ford is somehow doubling down on their commitment to electrification. They're pouring more and more investment into beefing up their EV lineup. And you can't help but wonder, what on earth are they thinking? Well, my friends, that's where things get a little complicated. See, it all comes down to the software they're equipping these new electric rides with. And let me tell you, there's a whole lot more to this story than meets the eye. Ford's clearly got a plan, but whether it's going to pay off or just send them deeper into the red, well, only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this means a lot of change is coming. But what does all of this mean? See, these big-name brands like Ford, Chrysler, Subaru, and Mercedes are rolling out some next-level proprietary software in their latest vehicles. And let me tell you, it's stirring up a whole lot of controversy when it comes to your right to repair. It's not just about lines of code, my friends. This is a strategic move that's putting the dealerships firmly in control. Want to get your ride fixed? Prepare to take a pilgrimage to the authorized service centers because independent mechanics are hitting a brick wall. They're locked out of the crucial software unless they pony up some serious cash. And guess who's stuck footing the bill for all those added expenses? Yeah, that's you. These automakers aren't just nudging you towards their exclusive repair networks, they're actively steering you there. Fewer choices, lighter wallets, and diminished competition – that's the name of the game. Those independent mechanics, known for their competitive pricing and personalized service, they're facing some major obstacles getting their hands on the essential tools and diagnostic software. And these proprietary systems are tightly controlled by the automakers. Any tweaks or updates? Gotta come straight from the company that owns the code. Try integrating with open source alternatives. Good luck with that, it's a recipe for friction. But why would they do this, you ask? Simple. When big companies are bleeding money, they're going to find a way to make it back. Sure, Ford's taken a beating, but they're using the financial strain as an excuse to tighten their grip on the repair game. It's all about asserting dominance, monopolizing services, and charging premium prices. It's not just Ford feeling the heat, even Tesla, the EV pioneers, are facing some serious challenges. So what's the solution? Cutting prices left and right, like that whopping $7,500 discount on the Model Y. You gotta do what you gotta do to move that unsold inventory, right? Now let's talk about these price cuts sweeping through the auto industry. You've got to be wondering, are these companies skimping on quality to save a few bucks? Because let me tell you, if they're cutting corners, it's gonna come back to bite them. We're talking problems down the road that'll have customers heading for the hills. Even if these new rides are flying off the lot, the cycle is just gonna repeat itself. People are gonna stop buying altogether, forcing these brands to slash prices again and again. It's like a never-ending loop of desperation and disappointment. But you know what's really got me scratching my head? The insurance angle. Turns out a whole lot of EVs, even the ones that just looked like a minor fender bender, are getting written off as total losses. Why, you ask? Well, simple. Nobody seems to know how to properly fix these high-tech rides. The repair estimates are through the roof, almost as much as the car itself. So instead of getting stuck trying to figure it all out, the insurance companies are just throwing in the towel and calling it quits. You buy a Tesla, you get in an accident, and boom, the insurance is like, nope, not worth the hassle. But hold up, they're not even giving you enough from that payout to go and buy another Tesla. These insurance companies are looking at the repair bills for these models, even the low-mileage ones, and they're just throwing up their hands. It's not worth the headache for them. So, my friends, you've got to be asking yourself, what the heck is going on here? These price cuts, the quality concerns, the insurance nightmares, it's all starting to come together, and let me tell you, it isn't a pretty picture. But don't worry, I'm just getting started. There's a whole lot more to unpack when it comes to the state of the industry. Let's look at Tesla's dilemma, because trust me, it's not just them. A whole lot of big-name automakers are keeping a close eye on this playbook. See, the very thing that makes Tesla so darn appealing is also what's causing them so much trouble when it comes to repairs. These cars are packed to the brim with high-tech features, advanced materials, and proprietary tech that's a nightmare for anyone, but Tesla's own technicians to wrangle with. I mean, we're talking specialized tools, specific repair techniques. Your average body shop just isn't equipped to handle these eco-friendly, lightning-quick machines. And the parts issue? Oh, that's a doozy. Tesla parts are about as scarce as hen's teeth, which means long waits and sky-high prices if you need to replace something. Plus those battery packs, super sophisticated and sensitive. Damage to one of those and you might as well wave goodbye to your ride because the repair bill's gonna be enough to make your head spin. Now you'd think the insurance companies would be there to help, right? Well, wrong. When they see repair estimates topping $50,000, they're like, nah, it's not worth the hassle. They'd rather just declare the whole thing a total loss and call it a day. And let me tell you, that's a headache and a half for Tesla owners. Negotiating with insurance, finding a replacement, getting rid of the total car, it's a whole ordeal. Plus that payout might not even be enough to snag another Tesla, seeing as they hold their value so darn well. It's a mess, my friends, and it's not just Tesla feeling the pain. Every EV maker out there is dealing with these same challenges. But hey, Tesla's at least trying to address the issue, expanding their service centers and mobile repair units to give owners more options. And you know what? Even if they've got a long way to go, I've got to respect the effort. Because let's be real, some of those other automakers, they're not backing down. They're digging in and they'll do whatever it takes to protect their bottom line. It's a wild ride, that's for sure. But the question is, how are you, the car-buying public, going to navigate this repair revolution? The consequences for independent repair shops. Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, a new battle is heating up over your right to repair your vehicle, and it's getting intense. These right to repair laws are aiming to give you and your trusted local mechanic more control over maintaining your ride. Picture this, no more dreaded trips to the dealership. Your neighborhood garage could have all the tools and expertise needed to keep your vehicle in top condition. But of course, the automakers aren't having it. Ford and the gang are crying foul, saying these laws clash with federal regulations and could put your safety and cybersecurity at risk. They're even going as far as to try and block a right to repair law in Massachusetts. It's a full-on tug-of-war, and the prize is your repair options. On one side, you've got the open source software crowd, talking about faster development, beefed up security, and serious cost savings. On the other hand, the automakers are clinging to their proprietary ways, banking on exclusivity and control to keep their cash flow going strong. Now, call me cynical, but I don't think these companies are ever going to let this cash cow get away. I mean, how else are they going to make back all that dough they're bleeding in the EV game, am I right? In summary, while these advancements may promise more sophisticated vehicle features and performance, they also come with a price. They're gradually reshaping the automotive repair landscape, ushering in a future where dealership networks gain even more control over vehicle servicing and repairs. As you ponder your next vehicle purchase, consider the broader implications of this shift. It's not just about the car, it's about navigating a landscape that's becoming increasingly dominated by proprietary systems and dealership monopolies. But hey, I'm curious, what do you think about this whole right to repair showdown? Drop a comment and let me know where you stand. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.